Hello to all our viewers. Thanks for joining Pink Mike Legal Confessions. We're doing Facebook Live every Tuesday at 2:30. So thanks again for joining us. I want to introduce myself to all of you who don't know me yet. My name is Attorney Stephanie Garces-Donay. I'm the owner of Garces Law Firm. We are a law firm in Arlington Heights. Their legacy and protect their children in their unexpected absence. Now, when I think about building and creating financial health by doing this overall. With the new year upon us, I want to discuss how we can stay healthy in the present moment, which is really important because I know we are all looking to stay healthy, especially during this pandemic.
Okay, I don't know if it kicked me out or if it kicked you out. Let's see what's going on here. Well, we'll see.
Sorry, had a brief hiatus for a second. We're good now. This is a classic example of technology. You know, when you work, when you're on a Zoom call and you can't get, internet. So if they can't tell by the background, I'm in a remote area. So I apologize for the viewers. They're probably wondering if I'm doing magic tricks. Okay, so I just was going back here to explain kind of what my law firm does. So just to kind of recap again, this is Pink Mike Legal Confessions, and we are talking today about how to keep your family safe and building a legacy for them. Particularly for me, I help parents secure and protect their legacy, especially when it comes to their children in the expected an unexpected event. And so when I think about creating a legacy and protecting a legacy that you may have with your family, I think about creating a will and a trust. That's my job. And so I wanted to talk more about like how this is important because it protects your family, but also builds financial health. And so with this new year upon us, I wanted to talk about how to stay healthy in the present moment. And the thing I was honing in on is that it's important to be present and healthy at this time as much as you can be. We know that there's a pandemic happening. We know that health and safety is everyone's priority. And so today I have the pleasure of having special guest, Dr. Jordan Leasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
As a way of background, Jordan is a functional wellness practitioner, and she's also a chiropractor and a mother of 3 to her son, Parker. She's very successful, and she's founded several health and wellness companies, including a clinic in Libertyville, Illinois, which is not far from where we're at, called North Shore Protective Health, where she practices with her sister, Dr. Jade Leasure, a pediatric care specialist. Dr. Jordan, thank you for being with us today. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about your background, the wellness companies that you have founded, and the like?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I think that this is very timely. I'm very excited to be here. And for me, I do have a doctorate in chiropractic medicine, and then I went on to receive certificates in wellness, and I specialize in functional medicine. And for many individuals, they don't know what that means. So we'll take a minute just to lay down a foundation, but functional medicine really is getting to the root cause of a condition. So whereas you may visit your allopathic physician and have a complaint of, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis or maybe recurrent UTIs, most of your allopathic physicians are going to recommend a specific course of treatment that typically consists of drugs or surgery. And what a functional medicine physician does is really gets to the root cause of why is that happening. So why are you having a recurrent infection, or why do you have a specific complaint that is known to be chronic? So instead of just managing that condition, we essentially get to the root cause and we eliminate it. And we typically do that through natural means such as dietary modification, stress management techniques, supplementation, and of course, pharmaceuticals if necessary.
Excellent. Thank you, Jordan. That is quite an impressive list of things that you do, and very knowledgeable to a lot of our viewers, because these are things they care about. These are things that people may not fully be aware of. I know we'll talk a little bit more about dieting, sugar detox, but it's not just that. It's a bigger picture overall. Everything has to connect. So now that you've had a chance to talk a little bit more about what you do, I wanted to talk about this year's this session topic about this upcoming year, starting the new year off right with sugar detox and a wellness plan. Now, a lot of people have been joking. I don't know if you've seen the memes on the COVID-19, how it stands for the 19 plus pounds. I don't know if you've seen this.
Unfortunately,
19
yes.
plus pounds that people. Yes, and I will be the first to admit that, we're eating more, we're dining more at home, probably eating more than we're used to, but people are stuck at home, and so what are we doing? We're eating more, and so there's a lot of stress too that comes with it. I know stress eating is a thing, and Jordan, you run countless programs throughout the year, so can you share, in your opinion, professionally, why starting with a sugar detox or like a specific, I guess you can call it a food elimination detox, is one of the best ways to begin the cleaning process? Because a lot of people are wondering, how do I do this? What makes sense for me?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll dial it back a minute to what you started with. Individuals, if people are watching this around the country, obviously you and I are both Chicago centric, but if people are watching this around the country or around the world, I don't think they realize the variance in what places have undergone. Chicago is very tightly and has been very tightly locked down since middle of March. And there are other areas around the world where restaurants are open, you can exercise, you can do all these things. And in Chicago, we haven't been able to. So when the mayor locked Chicago down back in March, I went ahead and sort of, in addition to all the programs and the paid services that we offer, I said to myself, what can I do to give back? And I started a free Facebook group that's still going. It's a little bit different than when we were in March, but called Dr. Jordan Stress Relief Boot Camp. And I did that because there is much more to a detox, and there's also much more to your eating and the impact that your eating is going to have on your life than literally just what you put in your mouth. There's many programs out there, and you're counting calories, you're counting macros, or you're doing this or that. And I'll tell you right now that I wish it were that simple. I would be a size 0. Life would be, like Barbie, but it doesn't work that way. Because especially for women, stress plays a key role in if you're what you want to consume, what you consume, the impact that it has on your system. But also bigger than that, and most importantly right now, is all of that, your stress and your diet is going to impact your immune system. So we all need to be really careful, if we are taking those reactive measures, such as staying at home or wearing our mask, are we also being proactive and paying attention to managing stress, doing whatever activity you can, even if you are literally locked in your house, and also what you're eating and supplementation. So I think that those are all super key to remember, when we're paying attention to what we're consuming. And of course, this is like, people in our industry will call the new year like liquid gold to anybody in wellness, because everyone has, like you were suggesting, wellness and diet on the brain. And eliminating sugar is one of the 8 most inflammatory foods. So it's a great place to start. I don't want to say it's easy. It is simple. It's not easy. But it is definitely going to be super impactful to how you're feeling, your energy, your immune system functioning, your clarity, your mood, your irritability for some of us ladies. So there's lots of different categories in how you can eliminate sugar, why you should eliminate sugar, and then how it's going to play out in your life, in your everyday activities.
Great. Yeah, that's a good point. And kind of to dial back on what you said regarding sugar intake and whatnot, obviously weight loss and being healthy is at the forefront of many of our viewers in general. What, in your opinion, affects someone's ability to go through a cleansing product through process through a detox? Because I know I'm thinking about a couple of my colleagues or friends that I don't think they've ever tried something like that. Maybe they just don't like the idea of it, or maybe they find it to be unnecessary, especially for the guys out there. You know, guys do not like the idea of sugar detox. That is something
Right.
that they would probably run for the hills for. So what affects someone's ability to be able to go through a cleansing or a detox, so to speak?
So there are a lot of different, so when you say the word detox, there's a million things that come to mind. And I think that that can be smothering and it can be scary for some people. You know, in our office, we do, over the years, have done a handful of physician guided detoxes where literally you're only allowed to eat A, B, C, and D. You do, you know, 2 shakes a day, you do different drops, you do different supplements, and it's for a limited amount of time and it's effective. And usually, and I'm not going to say this too loud, but usually the men do better than the women. Our ladies typically lose like 6 to 8 pounds in the week, and the men lose like 12 to 15. I mean, it's literally like it falls off of them, which is great. Like, kudos to them.
That's so unfair, right? It's so unfair. But again, you know, not to go into the weeds, but that's interesting. So are you seeing, is it more, what is it? I mean, is it genetics? Is it habit? I mean, what do you think?
It's all of the above. Yeah. So about 85% of the factors are not genetic related. So they are usually that how men hang on to fat compared to how women hang on to fat. Their adherence, men are, a lot of men are more competitive. So if they're doing it with a spouse or they're doing it with a child, you know, they're 150% in. And then on the flip side of that, I've had some women and they're like, it really wasn't that bad because I still had my Diet Coke. I'm like, what do you mean you were drinking Diet Coke this whole time? It's supposed to be a detox. But that's okay. You know, everybody has their thing. But sugar itself, I like to do a 5-day sugar detox with my patients. It's simple. It's easy. Again, let me say it's not easy. It is simple. But you can pay attention to alternatives. And literally once you get past those 5 days and you recognize there are a lot of things that you like that taste good, you start getting your taste back. You're not overwhelmed by the cravings for sugar. Some of the emotional component, you've kind of gotten over the hurdle. And you're able to think clearer, you make better choices. You're not driven by like the sugar animal inside. You're able to actually eat what you recognize is going to be beneficial to you. And you can maintain it after. It's a lot easier to maintain after you get past that week.
Sure. That makes sense. And do you see that a lot in your patients? Is there some people that are more prone to have a harder time with the wellness program than another one? I don't know if that makes sense. But
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we're all individuals, and it depends. My number one recommendation, no matter the type of detox or cleanse or elimination diet that you're trying to do, it's all about preparation. And for me, you know, like you said before, I run. At this point, it's like 4 different businesses. I have a brick and mortar wellness clinic. We have an online wellness program. I own a physician grade supplement company, and I do wellness consulting for attorneys. So you add that on top of, again, having a toddler and usually a husband that, you know, in the mix. I've got a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. And literally when you get home, you know, at 7 o'clock, the last thing that you want to think about, whether you're the man or the woman or the nanny, is trying to think of what everybody's having for dinner. And yeah. it should be simple, but there's not any brain power left. If you're firing on all cylinders all day, you get home and you're just like, you know, just whatever, let's do drive-through. I mean, I don't do drive-through, but I've done like a protein shake. Like I can't even think of making a hamburger. I'll just do a protein shake. So, if you can prep ahead of time, and that's one of I think the cornerstone of our most successful program is literally a meal plan. And that's not rocket science, but if I can hand you something and say, this is your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and your snacks for Monday through Friday, and all you have to, I wish I could prep it for people. All you have to do is prep it, or take that list and hand it to your husband, or hand it to the nanny, or hand it to the kids, and your shopping list is done. All you got to do is make it. It's like heaven on earth. And, it's much easier to adhere to a program like that when it's done for you.
Right. And that's kind of why a lot of these commercials now are for the meal prep. You see ones that are, all you have to do is open the box, whatever you do. Which is interesting, because I'm like, that does sound kind of nice, but it's so common. And I feel like those companies are catering to a lot of us busy people that just don't have the time to always make really, really delicious, fresh meals every single night. And that makes sense what you're saying. And it's interesting to think that is just having a plan in itself is really, I think, increases the likelihood of someone being able to go through the wellness program and maybe seeing results. Now, I just want to recap for those of us that are just joining now. My name is Stephanie Garces Donay. I'm an attorney in Arlington Heights and founder of Garces Law. We are a law firm, as I mentioned before, that does estate planning, real estate. We protect the legacies of parents in the event of an unexpected absence. And so this week in Pink Mike Legal Confessions, we have our special guest, Dr. Jordan Leasure, who is a chiropractor, functional medicine practitioner, and founder of several wealth programs and businesses. And so for those of us that are just joining, we are focusing now on our program today, calling out the idea of starting the year off right with a sugar detox and a wellness plan, which again is something that a lot of us are thinking about. Maybe not all of us admit, but that is our focus for today. And one of the things I wanted to also talk about, in case you missed it, last week I had the initial Pink Mike Legal Confessions series, where we talked about protecting your family with estate planning post and during this pandemic. And so I encourage you to look at that recording in case you missed it, because it is very important. It's information that's very relevant to many of you who might be watching. And so you can always watch the recording after on my Facebook page, and make sure you always put comments below. If you have any, you can always ask questions as well, and we're happy to get to those if we have time. So as I mentioned, I'll be sharing more tips on guardians and legal guidance for parents, but that was in my last recording, and we'll probably do a little bit more later. But now I know a lot of you may have questions regarding the sugar detox, so kind of reeling you back in. We are going to talk about more wellness plans with Dr. Jordan, as she mentioned. So let's dive into some of the questions that we have for some of our viewers. And in case you're wondering, my law firm website is www.garceslawfirm.com. It is at the bottom right here, in case you're looking for more information, or if you want to book an appointment with me at any time. Now, I want to talk about the audience here. The audience always has important questions. While we are offering free legal consultations, by the way, for those of you that are asking. Someone just checked in and said, do you offer the consultations for free? Yes, they are free. The consultations are in English, and in Spanish is also available for those people that do need Spanish-speaking attorneys. We do have that on staff, fully bilingual, and definitely something that we are able to help you with virtually. We're also doing virtual consultations in the event you don't want to come in. And so you could always text or call the number below you see on the screen, 773-373-9592, in the event you'd like to set up a consultation or find out more information on how we can help. Now, we want to talk about a couple of audience's questions. We have a couple people asking about this detox. So this is an interesting question that just came in. What is the percentage of people who fail to achieve their New Year's resolution, in particular with weight loss goals?
That's a great question. So, it varies. The biggest issue for most of us is something that we touched on earlier, is not having a plan and being too vague. So I'm sure if you recall, probably in law school, you set out SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And most of us don't approach our resolution like that. We're kind of, I want to lose weight. I want to quit smoking. I want a better job. And it's too vague. But if you can be really specific and say, you want to lose 5 pounds by February 1st, and you're going to do it by following the Mediterranean diet. Okay, so that is probably going to be much more successful because you can measure it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis versus I just want to lose weight. There's no plan there. There's no approach. You don't know by what, like by December 31st. So if you're gaining weight all year long and then like December 1st, it kicks in, like, sure, maybe you're going to still be successful. But if you can outline exactly what you want to do, exactly by when and how you're going to do it, you can enlist some resources and you can enlist maybe the help of a professional. And do you need a personal trainer? Do you need to change diet? Do you maybe need to run a food sensitivity test and see if you're eating healthy foods, but they're still inflammatory to your system? So it's nice to have a plan and an approach in place, and success will follow.
Yeah, definitely. And Jordan, I don't know if you have like a number in mind. Do you see like a certain amount of people that just have not been successful, or does it just depend? Because I'm assuming you see different types of people from different walks of life, who may or may not be able to succeed. If you could, on a scale of 1 to 10, or a percentage that you could provide, what do you think is the amount of people that can't get through a program like this?
I think so. There's kind of like two questions there, but the number of people that can get through a program, when somebody's in a program, it's pretty high. The individuals that I see that are failing or not achieving the goals the way that they want to are the ones that think that they can do it on their own. Or, typically they say that you got to try 3 times before you get it, and you're willing to enlist help or follow through. And those 3 times could be in succession, or it could be over 20 years. Each of us, again, is very individual. And that's what kind of makes the functional medicine that we do that much more exciting. Because I tell my clients, I take a history from conception to current. So I'm not just looking at the past, 6 months or year. I'm looking at the whole picture. So I can say, remember that divorce that you had 10 years ago, or that stressful time, or that apartment that you lived in as a freshman in college 25 years ago that smelled kind of musty? Well, that was mold, and that's why you're hanging on to weight 30 years later. So it's a much different approach.
That's interesting. Yeah, and thank you for addressing that. We had another question come in, very interesting question. I know I've thought about the idea of doing this, but Doctor, what do you think about juice cleanses? Do you recommend them? Is it a fad? A lot of people, like this idea. And so we have a question here from Ashley Donay regarding that juice detox. Do you recommend them?
It depends. It's a great question, and definitely depends. And I have done like every detox every cleanse under the sun. I've done, the ultimate cleanse, which is what a lot of people think of when they think juice detox, because it's the one that's like lemonade and cayenne pepper. And it was miserable. But also there's different juice detoxes or juice cleanses that are done by like juice stores, or you can order them online. The issue with a lot of those is, on the one hand, they can be very high in sugar because, again, depending on the type of juice, you are eliminating all fiber. So all of that sugar is going to instantly be getting into your system. So you want to be kind of careful if you have any other comorbidities going on. Obviously, someone that is, struggling with different liver issues, or possibly diabetic, things like that, and you need to be really careful. But I've also seen them on the flip side of that be very, very successful with individuals that have a chronic GI issue. So someone with Crohn's or celiac or leaky gut, they can actually be great because they allow your system to not really have to process. You get all the vitamins and nutrients quite quickly. So again, I think it's something that can definitely be explored, but that should be done under the guidance of your physician.
Yeah, that makes sense. And thank you for the question. That's a great question and kind of a good point. So to me, my understanding is that this is not a one size fits all approach, when it comes to cleanses and when it comes to what is the right wellness plan, which is why, viewers should come and see someone like you that is better off, has an idea of how to do this sort of thing. Because even the average person, and again, me as an example, I've looked up different, diets and this and that, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I'm sure people are wondering, can a juice cleanse or some sort of cleanse online? It's really trendy. Can that work for me? But it sounds like it's not a one size fits all, which makes sense. So let me ask you this, doctor. When you do end up doing a detox, because that's what you decided to run with, can you go back to a regular diet after that, or is it a lifestyle change?
It depends. It depends on the individual, and it also depends on what your normal diet was. Right. So I have had clients that have wanted to do one of our detoxes, which are typically to pull the toxins out of fat, is the approach that I take in my office. So they'll do that for 5 days, and then literally they'll celebrate on day 6 with a pizza and beer. That's not necessarily my professional recommendation, but it happens. And you know what? That's okay. If that's all they wanted to do was pull out the toxins and then they want to retox, you know what? It's their life and they have to do what makes them happy. And I love that they took the 5 days off from that lifestyle. I think that's to be celebrated within itself. If your goal on the flip side of that is really to live your best, cleanest, healthiest life, then yeah, you want to take that detox time and not only clean out your physical body, but you want to work on the emotions and the mental aspects as well. Because like most of us know, eating is not just about nutrition. A lot of eating happens up here and it happens right here. And so we need to take a look at what you're eating, why you're eating it, and kind of work from there. And
okay,
ideally stay clean.
Yeah, I was going to call it a cheat day. Everybody has a cheat day, and I do wonder about that in a detox, because it seems, again, starting off your year right with the detox and that plan, I would imagine you have to continue. So that makes sense. And we have another question from the audience, a good one that I think a lot of us are probably wondering about is, what do I do when excuse me. What do I do when my partner hates healthy food, and how can I convince them to do the detox with me?
That's a fantastic question. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I have been in practice for 15 years. And when I started dating my husband about 10 years ago, for sake of argument right now, we were at the grocery store. And we weren't quite living together yet, but we were just about there. And he had in the cart a gallon of milk and a thing of bourbon. And I said, you need to understand something about me. I said, I don't. And he knew I don't do dairy. And I'm like, I will not in my house ever have milk. And he was like, haha, you're so cute. And I was like, no, I am dead serious. So you have a choice right now. You can keep the bourbon, or you can keep the milk. Which one do you want to come home with you? And it was the bourbon, but
of course it was. one is more fun than the other.
and there have been time, not to throw him under the bus, but there have been times that both of us, we'll go even like a year at a time and not have alcohol. But dairy is very inflammatory. Gluten is very inflammatory. We do not have dairy in the house. We do not have gluten in the house. We try to limit our corn. We don't do soy. So we try to eat as clean as we can. And that was very important to me in a partner. I could not have, or sort of like someone saying they can't date a smoker, or they couldn't date someone that did, I don't know, did XYZ. So to answer the question, I mean, it's definitely getting someone on track with what's important to you and why do they need to, maybe do the unhealthy habits, and getting into how to help them better understand. Because if this is your life partner and you are planning on dancing with them at your 50th wedding anniversary and playing with your kids or your grandkids on vacation in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, unfortunately, what you put in your mouth is going to be a component to if those are able to happen, or how enthusiastic and athletic you can be in those circumstances. So, do you want to be pushing them in the wheelchair, or do you two want to be like running into the sunset together? And you fully have control of which direction it goes. And that can be scary, but it's also very empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't help but think of the line of work that I'm in, that depending on the documents you have in order, can really affect the stress that comes with an unexpected event.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because it does resonate with what you're saying. It's the same thing. The wellness plan, also, again, having a will, having a trust in place, leads to financial health. And that is something that is very important for many of our viewers. So very, very good on that. Okay, here's another question that we got it's kind of similar to the last one. So my family does not eat healthy food. Do you have any suggestions on how I can stay strong when I'm faced with a temptation? I'm like, maybe this is something I'm wondering too, because temptation, I think, is, especially the holidays, it's so hard.
Yeah. Well, so number one, I would say, who's doing the shopping? So for most of us, it's, and not to be too stereotypical here, but the women control the healthcare dollar, and usually the women are the ones that are doing the shopping as well. So you're laying the foundation for your family. About 15 years ago, when I first started into practice, and I was lecturing on wellness and the importance of not only you eating healthy, but eating healthy for your family, I was often ridiculed by women that because I didn't have children, I didn't understand. And how dare I say that, the children shouldn't be eating Cheetos or whatever it was. And I couldn't really fire back because I didn't have kids. But now that I have a 4-year-old, almost 4-year-old, that is primarily, I mean, we've been to Italy and he had gelato and he had pasta. But other than that, he is gluten-free, he's dairy-free, he's sugar-free. We make, the majority of our meals. I'll make ice cream. We call it nice cream out of frozen bananas. And it's awesome. It tastes good. It's not like he's deprived. I don't imagine that he's going to be a 15-year-old, never eating ice cream, but, we'll see. We make choices based on how we want to feel after, which is something I've instilled in him from birth. So I think it's, again, the same as you would your partner, laying a foundation for your kids. I wouldn't let my son run in the street, so I don't let him consume things that are going to be dangerous for him either. And that can seem like a very, like out there aggressive mindset. But, as moms, we want to keep our families healthy, or just as women, we want to keep our families healthy. And so, you kind of gotta lay a foundation and a groundwork. And sometimes it can be challenging if it's your own family or your in-laws, or like if I've gone to parties with him and I've brought, gluten-free cupcakes, if I know somebody's having, a birthday party or something. So again, there's some planning that's involved, but, it definitely pays off. And he's 4 and he's never had an ear infection, and he's never been to the doctor, and he sleeps, and he's smart and articulate. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the, the raw materials that we give our kids.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't think that you could start a child so early in learning those habits. And maybe it's because, I really haven't had anyone talk to me about it.
Right.
all we hear is, as an adult, this is what you should be doing. But for children, it's interesting to think that you could start them off so early, hoping it leaves a lasting impact on them. And kind of segueing here, someone else had a question for me regarding, you talked a little bit about alcohol, and clearly that's not part of a sugar detox, but, I think I can speak for a lot of the viewers that, this is the time during the holidays, we're bunkered down. Some of us are having a little more wine, than normal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what is a good, if any, substitute for something like that? So that's the question.
Yeah, that's a great question. And knowing and being cognizant of what you're drinking and how much you're drinking and what you're mixing it with, all of it is sugar, and all of it is toxic to us, even if we're making the choice to consume it. And then if you, on top of it, are mixing it with, like Coke or fruit juice or something like that, you're getting a quite a few more calories. So I kind of go through phases, and I think my friends for a while thought I was crazy because I wasn't doing mixers. So if I wanted to go out and we were going to drink, I was having, like vodka on the rock. I mean, not like vodka on the rocks, but I was having, that without the sugar. And that's what I was trying to do. Because again, it's harsher. So you're going to sip it. You're not going to, be downing big gulps of it. But you're also gonna be consuming less of the alcohol and then less of the calories from the mixers and things like that. Some great alternatives. We actually have an entire holiday mocktail cookbook that we put together, recipe book that we put together for our clients, because you do need some alternatives. Again, it's not rocket science, but you don't have any brain power left, especially in the holidays, to come up with these things. So doing fun things, like club soda and fresh fruit and just muddling it. You don't even need fruit juice, but, just muddling it. I'm a big fan of lemon. I like citrus, so I'm a big fan of lemons and limes. And then there's some really interesting companies out there right now. I run women's retreats, and one of the sponsors of one of our last retreats, they're called elixirs. So they do these really, really neat non-alcoholic drinks. And then I've been doing a little bit more research, and there's people that they're almost like pods. And so they have different, like adaptogens in them. So things that are not only not alcoholic, so they're not going to be detrimental, but they actually are almost like a vitamin in a drink. And so it's a fun little alternative. And I've even been known to to piggyback on a previous question, just do juicing at home and put it in a martini glass, or put it in a wine glass, or put it in, like my fancy Waterford crystal. Because again, so much of eating and drinking is the environment that you're in, your mindset, and what's going on in your heart, that I can be drinking, sparkling water out of my champagne flutes and I'm good to go. So, so it doesn't necessarily need to be high calorie or be alcoholic to be enjoyed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never even thought about doing that. That makes sense that you could have an alternative. And I think sometimes too, it's more social than anything, Sometimes people they socially want to be there. Maybe they don't drink. Even people that don't necessarily drink, I mean, there's a way to still make a drink for them. Right. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, we have another question that just came in, and they said, are there any chemicals that I should be looking at when I'm at the store in the labels? And is there anything I should avoid?
Don't eat anything with a label. Then you don't need to worry about it. Apples and oranges and all your vegetables don't come with labels, so you don't need to worry about it. That's my easy, I like, honest to God, that's the easy answer. And when I teach, or when I do a virtual, tour of the shop of a grocery store, that's the easiest thing that you can do, is shop the perimeter. So, you should be eating fruits and vegetables. And when I teach patients, ideally you want to be doing 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And that can sound super overwhelming, especially for someone that's only doing like 1 or 2, but we break it into 3 sets of 3. And it's very, very easy to achieve. So if you do 3 sets, if you do 3 servings of fruits and vegetables that are high in color, so look for something that's bright orange, bright red, bright green, bright purple, That should be a focus. And then you do 3 that are your deep leafy greens. So you're doing like broccolis, you're doing kale, you're doing spinach, you're doing chard. And then your final 3 are going to be your sulfur containing vegetables. And those are the ones that are going to really, really knock it out of the park for your health. And that's going to be like your onions, your garlic, your shallots, your leeks, things like that. And when you say a serving, like you're literally not doing like a bowl of garlic. So it's definitely achievable when you start approaching it that way. And again, like somebody said earlier, if you want a juice, if you want to put that in a shake and blend it up, you know, you can sometimes do 5 servings of fruits and vegetables before like 8 a.m. So again, having a plan is going to be fantastic. And then if you're eating your grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, prairie-raised eggs, essentially that's all you need. You don't need to be reading labels or eating out of boxes or anything that is super processed, because yes, then you do need to worry about chemicals and fake foods and all of those worrisome things that we don't even have space left for.
Yeah, definitely. And when you were saying labels, I was thinking about, I don't know if you're a fan of these, but zoodles are really popular.
Mm-hmm.
And zoodles can be made fresh. I've made them myself and like them more, but they obviously take more time. And like you said, there's prep, but that would be eliminating a pasta box, right?
Right.
Making your own pasta. So I have a question about this myself, and I love cooking personally, but what about those people out there that are viewing this and saying, I don't have time for that, or I don't cook, or something like that? How can someone be motivated?
So I would say, and I always say, especially with the attorneys that I work with, play to your strengths. So you need to know, you know, what you need. Honestly, you need to know what you're worth for an hour, and most attorneys can give you that number in their sleep.
Yeah.
And if you can hire someone to do those kind of activities that you don't love, whether it's cooking or shopping, I will tell you that Instacart for the past 4 years has been my best friend. Unfortunately, the last few months, I had to actually go to the store because you couldn't. Instacart in where we live was like impossible to get. But before that, when I got pregnant with my son, you know, it wasn't worth my time. It wasn't worth my time and energy to go out with a baby and shop. So I had my list of what I needed. I could order it on Instacart. So that was sort of my delegation. And if you don't love to cook, you know, there are many, many options. And we're very fortunate being in the Chicago suburbs that I have an entire network of personal chefs that cook healthy meals that I refer clients to. There's also some really great meal services, and there's really great national meal services. So you can actually order, like we talked before, you can pick out whether it's paleo or keto or low sugar or high fiber. And a lot of these, you know, Factor 75 is a company that I've worked with for quite a few years now. And they were actually based out of Chicago, and you can order those meals. They come to you like par cooked. So all you do is warm them up and they're good to go. We're fortunate in Libertyville. There's a company that I work with. It's called Real Clean Paleo, and they're based right out of Libertyville. And they, same thing, they do the meals, and they look good. They taste great. They're, again, obviously based on the name, they're all paleo. But that's what I do for lunches. So 4 days a week, I have my lunches are pre-made for me, so I don't even have to think about it. Sometimes they'll do, you know, paleo pancakes and local raised sausage that I'll get for Parker for breakfast 1 day a week. So it's awesome. And if that saves you, you know, a few minutes and it saves you peace of mind, but it costs you a little bit of money, honestly, for me, it's worth it to pay for the ease and to be able to spend my time doing other things.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I love how you put that. What are you worth, you know, for 1 hour? And because again, not everyone has the time or the means to cook all the time, you know, or perhaps they're getting home working crazy work hours.
Right.
So you get home so late. So that's great. Kind of reeling back to what we were talking about with sugar. I know one of the questions that came in while we were talking is about sugars that are artificial. Is that still a form of sugar? And how can I give it up? That is the question we have.
Okay, good question. So I always I like to do everything as natural as possible. So if you need to have sugar in something, then I like straight sugar. I don't like the artificial sweeteners or anything that's modified. You know, even stevia. Unfortunately, stevia comes from a plant, but the stevia plant is green. So if you're finding real natural stevia, it's going to be green. If you open up your stevia and it's white, that means it's been processed. And that can be a problem, and there can be, you know, side effects to eating stevia, and stevia actually increases fat storage, which none of us want. So you got to kind of watch, and it's, again, goes back to the why. So why are you doing that? Like for me, I like my coffee black, straight, nothing in it. And I like the way that coffee tastes. You know, if you're finding that you like coffee, if it has, you know, a whole bunch of fake creamer in it and a whole bunch of, maybe it's stevia or sugar or whatever it may be, you know, do you really need the coffee? You know, maybe you find yourself a nice tea that you like that doesn't require all of those things. So I think finding alternatives when you're having to add sugar to the way something tastes is a better workaround than doing the real sugar or the alternative sugars.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And I know we've talked a lot about like the meal planning and the food element. I wanted to kind of segue really quickly because a couple of questions are coming in about stress. How is stress related to the decisions that are made from maybe even what you're consuming? And how do you manage that? How does one manage stress? Because I realize that's part of the recipe. Literally the play on words here, but the recipe for success. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on that? I know I was there. You're with me. Yeah, just how do you do that? I mean, because I know stress is a big reason why you know, a lot of people have you know, long-term impact on their you know, well-being, really.
Right. And it is. Honestly, stress is probably the number. If I had a magic wand and I could erase one thing that is in the environment, it would definitely be our stress. And we think of stress, as most of us, as an emotional component, but there is also, you know, physical stress, biochemical stress, technological stress. You know, not that I want to dissuade people from watching us right now, but you know, we spend much too much time on technology, and that is a stressor as well. So if we can eliminate some of those things and, you know, detox from all of it, we'd be better off. So the two things that I love the most when we're talking about stress is absolutely keeping a gratitude journal. And there are studies that show that keeping a gratitude journal is impactful on your health as working out every day. And I will tell my clients, so don't shut off, keep listening. That doesn't mean that you don't get to work. You don't have to work out. You should still be engaging in physical activity every single day. But imagine how much better your health would be if you were, you know, riding your Peloton or doing your yoga or swimming or just going for a nightly walk with your family. And then on top of that, you shut down your day with writing 3 things that you're grateful for. And that's literally all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant. It doesn't need to be a fancy notebook. I've literally sent patients out of my office with a pad of Post-its and a pen because I told them to start keeping a gratitude journal and they didn't. And I'm like, okay, here, there's no more excuses. Literally every single day, just write down 3 things. And it can be that you saw a dog walking down the street and it made you smile, or you're grateful for your kids, you know, or you're happy for you smelled lemons and it reminded you of your grandma's house growing up, you know, whatever it may be. It's very easy and very simple things, but it is so impactful for our health. And then the next one, in addition to keeping a gratitude journal, is doing appropriate breathing. So if everybody that's watching, you know, I'm sitting a little crooked in this room, but if you sit with your feet flat on the floor and you sit up straight with your heart to the sky, I teach most routinely, it's called box breathing. So you'll breathe in for a count of 4, you'll hold that for a count of 4, you'll exhale for a count of 4, and then you'll hold that for a count of 4. And as you're breathing, if you want to put a hand on your chest and a hand on your abdomen, as you breathe in, you almost want to kind of bypass your lungs, and you want to think that you're forcing that air down into your belly. So go ahead and take a deep breath in.
Okay.
You'll hold that for a count of 4. Don't exhale yet. And then exhale for a count of 4. Blow it out. And then hold that for a count of 4 before you inhale again. And then you'll go through a series of those, and you practice then you'll start doing it routinely when you don't need it, which is what we want. And that helps to lower cortisol, which will help us to not store fat, which is, again, what we're trying to get to. Make some of those smarter choices, decrease our irritability, improve our performance. So everything works a little bit better when we're not so stressed.
That's wonderful. I'm sure people are watching this, like doing a little bit of this and,
Right.
trying to understand that. And actually, I don't think I've ever known about that being something that would help with, not storing fat. I think I just knew it that it helps with your breathing. But there are actually books and a lot of education out there about breathing itself and how it really impacts your day-to-day life, which is very interesting. So that's great that you teach that. I never thought that breathing would be part of the plan that you would put together for one of your patients. Now, if we have another question that came in, this is actually kind of a funny one. I'm out of shape due to COVID. What's the best exercise I can start with if I'm stuck at home? Oh, that's funny.
That's a great question.
A lot of people resonate with that. So yeah, I guess for those of us that are out of shape because of COVID, what do we do?
Yeah, so I would definitely start, and this is, you should of course speak with your physician first, make sure that all recommendations are safe for whatever your current shape or your current condition is, but definitely daily stretching. I like an exercise called YWTL, and it is kind of like YMCA. So what everybody can do, again, if you want to sit up straight and bring your arms, straight to the sky, like in a Y, and you want to pinch your shoulder blades together behind you.
Okay.
And then you'll bring them down into a W.
Okay.
And then bring your arms out into a T. And if you're doing this, you're holding each one for about 3 seconds. We're going a little quick today. And then bring them down into your sides. Those are your L's. So that stands for youthful, wise, thoughtful, and loving. So that's how you can remember what position you should be in. But that's called spinal hygiene, and it's terrific for posture, which, again, those of us that have been home are doing a lot of this on the computer, or we're on, our phones too much. So that helps with that positioning. And then that will improve your breathing secondarily, and then it will also help your digestion. So it's a very, get 3 bangs for your buck and get that done. Do it twice a day like you would brushing your teeth. But stretching is a terrific place to start. I love yoga. I love restorative yoga. So if you've never tried yoga, restorative yoga is essentially like organized stretching. So that's a great place to start if you've been doing nothing. And of course, walking or swimming if you have access.
Right. I actually am a swimmer myself, and because of COVID, haven't had the chance to do that. I personally have used the Peloton app a lot. I know that's very popular right now, but I guess there's so many ways, right? There's so many ways nowadays to find exercises. I mean, YouTube, Peloton, there's so many apps out there.
There's some incredible resources. And I would say, and again, I have a Peloton. I love the app. I've been using it like 2 minutes ago before we started. My son is a big fan of one of the meditation teachers. So in addition to clean eating, he's also a 4-year-old that meditates. So so what I would say is, check out if you were a part of a gym or you did have a personal trainer before this. A lot of us with small businesses have had to pivot during this time, and they are offering online resources and classes. So given the opportunity, support those that were helping you out before this, and see if you can get on, one of their digital platforms, and make sure that, once we're beyond this, or once things are a little bit different, that they can still be up and running in their brick and mortar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this happened to me. I was working with a trainer a little bit ago, pre-COVID, and then they went online, and they're actually offering classes for free online and asking people to support them,
Right.
via Venmo, and sending them what you can. And we really should be supporting those businesses because of this exact reason. I mean, they have many benefits to us, during a pandemic. When we're home. So that makes sense. And I know you and I talked about this earlier, and I have to ask, because I know we sort of talked about paleo a little bit. We talked about, let's say, gluten-free.
Mhm.
There's so many diets out there. There's paleo, there's keto, Mediterranean. In your experience and opinion, what do you think is recommended? And is there ones that you like more than others?
It depends. Again, that's like my go-to answer. And unfortunately, it really does. So it depends on the person. It depends on the reason. The one thing that you should remember is that anything that has diet in the name is meant to be short term. So even the Mediterranean diet, AIP is a diet I use a lot, anti-inflammatory diet, the FODMAP diet, celiac, any of those things, it's figuring out what works for someone in the short term. And things like keto, paleo, not so much, but definitely keto is very hot right now, but really should be run under the support of a physician, and not just a trainer, not just a wellness coach, but a physician and someone that can run labs, because you don't want to be vitamin deficient and then not know until, I don't want to say it's too late, but not know until you're symptomatic. So, what we do with our clients and what many other physicians are doing is running labs ahead of time, making recommendations based on those lab reports, and then following up with patients as they're doing the program, sometimes during, but definitely after, running the labs again to make sure that there are no consequences from following such a restrictive program.
That makes sense. Okay. So everything, everyone that's watching is really connected to your physician, really, because the physician is the one that really supervises all of this and is going to give recommendations. And to sort of sum up, because I don't know if everyone got a chance to see, what is the information that they could contact you for if they want to set up a consultation or get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So our website is on there. We also have another website that is leasure-life.com that's up there right now. And that's where you can find our virtual programs. Of course, we have brick and mortar in Libertyville. So if you're looking for online, or if you're looking for in-person care, you can find us in Libertyville. But no matter where you are in the country, we have clients all over the world that I work with in a functional medicine capacity. But the super cool thing that we have going on right now is we have a $5 5-day sugar detox. And it's awesome. We provide the recipes, the shopping list, the meal plan, kind of like I said, that you could literally hand it to somebody else and say, here's what I need you to make me this week. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's snacks, and the snacks are incredible. We have mint protein balls that kind of taste like Thin Mint cookies. And you don't need to close your eyes and think too hard. They really do. And the program is awesome. It has online accountability through a private Facebook group. And we do, myself and Dr. Jade, we do a Facebook Live kind of like this every single day to expand on some of what we touched on. What is sugar? Sugar, ways to watch out for sugar, how cause inflammation, which is going to impact your immune. So some really pertinent information right now.
Great. And are you might have mentioned this already, are you offering virtual meetings as well for those of us that are, cautious going to a brick and mortar?
We do, yeah. So we do, of course, we don't do chiropractic virtual, but we do, we do a lot of, I haven't figured that one out yet. We do a lot of physical therapy virtual, which is kind of cool. We also do a lot of our functional medicine virtual, and those programs that I run are very specific. They're 90-day programs. And then of course, the online, the Leasure Life program that we run is self-guided. So it's fantastic. It's a monthly program, and you receive the Sugar Detox that we have coming up is actually in there all year round. And then you get a monthly meal plan, recipes, shopping list every single month. You get a new habit to work on each month. So it sort of helps to keep you accountable all year round. I know that oftentimes, this is the time to talk about health, and then we kind of fall off the wagon. Some of us faster than others. So if you have, a fresh focus each month, it helps to improve success.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Leasure, for all the information that you provided today. And we want to thank our viewers also for joining us today for the Pink Mike Legal Confessions. You can meet us here every Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. And we are doing it by Facebook Live. You can always check out the recordings later, but you're always welcome to pop in and ask questions live. So thank you again, Jordan, for everything today. It was very, very helpful, and you're very—
Thank you.
We both, Jordan and I, cherish the opportunity to gain your trust. And so, for those viewers that are looking for guidance on wellness and establishing healthy habits, and also for the physical and financial life that you need to improve, we're here to help you. So, much like a diet and wellness, estate planning, which is the area that I practice, is very similar in that it's not a band aid. It's not a one time thing that you'll never have to do again. It's an ongoing commitment to your family and to yourself. And so, maintaining your physical and and mental and financial health is a lifestyle. And so this requires commitment and dedication. So if you do have questions for Dr. Jordan or me on how you can build a strong foundation for your family and make 2021 the best year yet, we do welcome the opportunity to speak with you. As I mentioned before, I do offer free consultations that are also virtually from the safety of your own home, as you could see below me. So if you do one in person, we can also do that. I have plexiglass, I have sanitizer. We can do whatever you feel most comfortable with. And for those of you that, again, are looking to set up that consultation, you can always text or call the number below, which is my office line, 773-373-9592. Don't forget to check out our Facebook and Google reviews, Garces Law. I promise those are my clients that have left very positive reviews, thank God, so far. So feel free to check it out there if you're wondering what kind of service we provide. And my website also has more information about our law firm, Garces Law. It's www.garceslawfirm.com. And I invite the viewers again to join me again here next week for another episode of Pink Mike Legal Confessions, same time, same place. Please invite your friends, your family, and share the recordings. I don't mind if you do that. There's a lot of people that need this advice and help. So please feel free to share and always leave comments if you have any. So this holiday season, I hope that you guys are all staying safe and everyone is remaining optimistic that things are going to turn around this next year. And we hope to see you again next week. Thank you again. Stay well. And again, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.